Hey, Doodle lovers! Before we dive in, a quick heads up. Doors to Zoomies to Zen close at midnight Eastern on October 16th. If you've ever felt like your doodle's running on Red Bull, jumping, barking, or ignoring your every word, this is your moment. In just 6 weeks, I'll guide you step by step through proven doodle-specific training that transforms chaos into calm and stress into connection. We kick off October 17th, and we won't open again for another 6 months, so don't miss it. Join us now at thedoodlepro.com/Zoomies to Zen, and let's turn those Zoomies into Zen together. Hi, friend. Quick Doodle parent check-in. If your Doodle's energy has been feeling a little extra lately, you are not alone. Inside my signature course, Zoomies to Zen, I help Doodle parents just like you teach their pups to focus, calm down on cue, and greet people politely, all without fear or force. You'll get 6 weeks of Doodle-specific training, 6 live Q&As with me, our private Doodle parent community, and lifetime access to every lesson. But here's the catch. Doors close at midnight Eastern Time on October 16th, and they won't reopen until next spring. So if you've been waiting for the perfect time, this is it. Head to thedoodlepro.com/Zoomies to Zen and save your spot before doors close. So if you're thinking about what it was like introducing at different stages, and someone's planning to add another puppy to their family, what are the ideal ages for the adult dog to be?
So often people have a dog and they reach Keaton's age now, adolescents, 10 or 11 months, and they are adolescents. They're busy. And the brain takes vacations. They think, oh, we just need another dog to give him somebody to play with.
Yeah.
But as I just mentioned, now you've got 2 dogs that don't really have a lot of skills under their belt yet.
We have the author of Rocket Recall, Lisa Lyle Waggoner. And not only do we have her joining us today, we have 2 guests joining. Lisa and her husband, Brad, both dog trainers, are both going to be joining us today because we're going to be talking about adding a puppy to a family that already has an adult dog and how to do it right. And this is truly a family affair. So having both of their insights on how to make that work is just so valuable. So welcome, Brad and Lisa. I'm so happy to have both of you here today.
Thank you, Corinne. It's so nice to be back.
It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
I'm Lisa, and I'm a certified professional dog trainer, a certified separation anxiety trainer, a Pat Miller certified trainer, and faculty. Both of us are on faculty for the Victoria Stilwell Academy of Dog Training and Behavior. We teach both the in-person courses and where we also serve as faculty advisors for a lot of our students.
Tell us about your 2 dogs, as we have some people who are looking to add a puppy or some who recently have.
We currently have Keaton, who just turned 11 months old yesterday. I must admit, he's been typical adolescent in some ways. All those new behaviors start to appear as his hormones are changing and his brain is changing. But he really has been, from the get-go, pretty easy puppy on a scale of 1 to 10. He's pretty easy.
And we also have Cody, also an Australian Shepherd, who is pushing 16 years old now. Cody came to us at about a year and a half, 2 years old. Not exactly sure. That's why we say pushing 16.
Yeah.
So I don't know the exact age. He came from our local shelter, and he's a hot mess is what he was. And since he has been my training partner. He taught me so much. He's been a business partner. He has worked in pretty much every workshop, seminar, class we ever taught. He's worked as a demo dog. He worked as a neutral dog for all of our activity cases. And as Lisa mentioned earlier, he is now past his senior years on into the geriatric phase. But all that being said, he has helped us introduce over the years now 3 new puppies into the household at different stages of his life. Once when he was 5 or 6, another when he was close to 10, and now Keaton comes to us just a year ago. So he has been at different phases of his life all the way through these couple of different things to consider when bringing a new puppy in to the home. And when we're thinking about the existing dog in the house, has that dog been the only dog where it has all of the attention of the people all of the time? And now we're introducing a new puppy, or in our case, is the existing dog maybe or probably still grieving the loss of their buddy when we try to bring in a new dog? Think of it from a human perspective. If you were to lose a good friend or a partner, and then somebody says, here's a person here, well, this person's going to move in and live with you. Yeah. And that's a big adjustment. Either one of those are big. One, now I've got to start sharing my people. I've never done this before. Now I've got this new dog that I've never met, and it's supposed to be a replacement for this. They don't see it the way that we do all of the time.
And they didn't have a choice.
Yeah, they didn't have a say in
And I think that's one of the most important pieces. And you shared that, Lisa, you pointed that out. You chose to bring those puppies in, not Cody.
Exactly.
And to recognize, while you hope that a beautiful relationship will form and that this will could enhance Cody's life, he didn't ask for this.
Exactly. And I will say, in a perfect world, Corinne, and we've talked about this, we would not have brought another dog in. At this stage of Cody's life, he could have been the only dog and been just fine.
Yeah.
With that said, I'm a professional dog trainer. I need a dog to work with and train and do videos with, because I was deep into filming some rocket recall videos, but in connection with my book, and Cody can't do that any longer. So I needed
a rocket left there.
I needed a canine business partner. I couldn't wait another year or two or more. And we made the decision to bring Keaton in with eyes wide open. It took us about 9-10 weeks of purposeful training and counter conditioning to help them have a lasting relationship.
Because
Much longer than we would think.
Yeah, because Cody was not at all friendly towards the new puppy. If we had just left them loose and left the house, we were afraid what we might come back. We live in a small house to begin with, but we had more baby gates and fences up inside the house. I, for a couple of months, every morning had coffee on the couch with my dog beside me and an X-Pin around us.
Yeah.
To keep the puppy wanting to be a puppy from getting up in his face, and he wasn't going to deal with that. So,
yeah, we lived separately but together through gates.
In a gated community.
So if you're thinking about what it was like introducing at different stages, and someone's planning to add another puppy to their family, what are the ideal ages for the adult dog to be in your mind? Because I would agree, if it wasn't for the extenuating circumstances, 16, we would probably say would be too senior for a puppy.
I would it is going to be, it depends, because there are 8-year-olds who still are playing and vibrant like 4-year-olds and vice versa.
Yeah, sure.
You know, that's so true. I advise people to never think about bringing another dog, to only think about bringing a puppy or an adult dog in after that first dog is fully trained, assimilated into the household well, and isn't causing you to think, oh, I need to do this. And you have to have a comfortable relationship with that own dog, with him or her learning the family manners that we want them to learn before we add a second dog. Because otherwise, it's just going to be 2 dogs who are not fully trained yet.
So often people will have a dog and they reach Keaton's age now, adolescence, 10 or 11 months, and they are adolescents. They're busy. And the brain takes vacations. They think, oh, we just need another dog to give him somebody to play with.
Yeah.
Lisa just mentioned, now you've got 2 dogs that don't really have a lot of skills under their belt yet. So, making sure the first dog is already well settled into the household and understands a few.
If I had to give you an age, assuming all of what we just said is true, I would probably say 3 to 6.
Yeah,
but I think about our first dog when we brought her into our household.
Didn't know anything.
We didn't know anything. We were so ignorant. We just didn't know what we didn't know. She was 8 when we brought her puppy. Now, we look back at some videos, but we were doing some really not good things, like leaving one resource out that they were both fine for.
Well, and at that time, we didn't know positive reinforcement training either. Both those dogs were trained with pinch collars.
Yeah. But he did well with him. They played. We've gone back through still photos to look at body language. Was there anything that we were missing then that we can see now? And their relationship. We had no issues from the beginning and no issues throughout their life together.
I think 3 years old, a socially mature, settled into the family, and it's a good age, physically able to deal with puppy antics. And Cody was 5.
We brought
Willow in. They grew up full of energy together and could run full speed together. But puppies are different. Bringing a puppy into the house is different than bringing an adult dog in.
Absolutely.
Puppies do puppy stuff. If the dog has never been around puppies before, and it's like, what's this little alien thing here? I don't understand this. So whether it's a senior dog that's currently in the house or younger, whether it's been the only dog or if it has lost a housemate, management's got to be key. That's going to be the first thing regardless.
Yeah, I think if you think of the umbrella over everything between puppy and adult dog is we have to take it as slow as possible to help the relationship be successful. There can be no let's fast path it. We have to go at each dog's pace. And with a puppy and an adult dog, making sure that puppy is physically safe from their adult body play is key, absolutely key.
Even if it's all good play, if everybody's having a good time, I say it's like the 10-year-old kid playing football with the college kids. It's not the college kid's going to get hurt. It's going to be the little guy. So even if it's all fun and games, the puppy is at risk. Now, their joints aren't fully developed yet. Now, too much rough and tumble play be detrimental. So we want to manage that.
I just would like to talk about the steps that we've taken with each pair.
Yeah.
So keeping that overarching theme in mind, let's take it as slow as each dog needs to. When the puppy first comes home, we're fortunate. We have a lot of land and a lot of acreage, so we can spread out pretty far. But making sure that when the puppy comes home, the adult dog is preferably with one person. It could be a friend, it could be a partner, spouse. The adult dog is on leash with one person, and the puppy is on leash with the other person out of door. And they're at a distance, and you're letting each dog see the other dog from afar. Each person should have food on them to reinforce the dog for good behavior for offered behavior, and for being calm in the presence of the other. And then once you spend a little time doing that, we then arc around.
Yeah.
We arc in a circle and we trade places. So that way the adult dog can sniff where the puppy was and take in all that scent. And the puppy can get the sense of the adult dog. Then we take a parallel walk together, distant.
We're still not inside. We're still not roaming around.
Nope, we're taking a walk outside. We're looking at body language, seeing if we can get each dog, puppy and dog, to focus on the other end of the leash, us, the person on the other end of the leash. And we continue to walk around and again, change places, let them sniff. If the body language is looking good, we're not seeing over arousal or any apparently aggressive or frustrating behaviors, growling, lunging, or nonstop barking. If we're seeing none of that, then we'll gently go in for what we call a sniff and go or a drive-by. So we go in, let them greet for just a second, then invite them apart and spend some time apart again before we then go in for a couple of sniff breaks.
And that's similar to ghosting greeting that you might do dog to human, right? In your head, you've got 3 seconds. We're going to go say hi. And then
absolutely.
And keep moving.
Absolutely. Because that relationship is so new. That is just so new. And so I want to protect each dog's feeling about the other one. We still, when we move inside, we're going to take them in separately. Doubles oftentimes happen in tight spaces, so we're not letting them get bumped up.
Yeah. And would take the puppy in first and let the puppy walk through the house and sniff around, being mindful and right. Hopefully the puppy doesn't pee on stuff.
Right.
But having given the puppy a chance to do that outdoors. But let the puppy go in on leash, again, explore the house and sniff everything before bringing the other dog in. We don't want there to be any facial resource guarding type stuff going on. We want
and all toys picked up, no resources on the floor, no bones, no chews, no toys.
And of course, if we're bringing a puppy home, we've hopefully done our homework and have all the appropriate puppy stuff.
Yeah.
And that would include baby gates and X-pins so that when we can't have our eyes on the puppy can be secured in a safe place. That also gives the existing dog some peace.
Yes.
They can actually go lay down and take a nap and not worry about this puppy bounding up on top of it.
Yes.
So I think greetings outside, sniffing briefly, and watching body language, that's so important.
And if we don't have gates out, then each dog is on leash. Puppies on leash, dogs on leash. So we're always managing. We're managing every second of the day to ensure that the relationship grows.
And that while it's true that the puppy will learn some social skills from the adult dog, how do I want to say this properly? Telling the little guy off on occasion. We want to make sure it's not over the top. Puppies are so impressionable. One snark at that age could set the puppy up to be possibly reactive to other dogs all the time. So we just need to be mindful of that and not allow a situation to occur where that might happen.
So another piece of advice for everyone out there who's listening is know dog body language first before you bring a puppy into your home. Because it's the dog's body language that's going to help you make the wise decision on when to let things continue and when to separate them.
Especially watching the older dog.
Yes.
That current dog in the house to see, are they stiffening up? Are they giving a hard stare at that puppy? Or do they look all soft? There's a big difference in their state of mind.
So while it took 9 to 10 weeks with Kaylee and Cody, it took just a week with Keaton and Cody.
Amazing.
I think size plays into it as well. With Kaylee, even though we were really aware of Cody's discomfort, the bigger Kaylee got, the more accepting Cody became. Now, that may have just been time passage as well, but I think there was a difference there too, just a physical size between the two dogs.
And sometimes the opposite could be true because adult dogs can give a puppy pass.
He was an adolescent. Yes. He just crawled into our laps on our chairs.
And so feel better and mouthing up like excitedly. These are two pro dog trainers.
Sometimes the shoemaker's children have no shoes. But you are correct in that a lot of times you'll see in play, even to adult dogs, if there's a big size difference, sometimes we call it self-handicapping. The bigger dog will either go ahead and roll over or make themselves smaller so that they can play more appropriately. We've seen it with puppies and adult dogs. The adult dog will self-handicap and not use all of their strength and speed when playing with the puppy. We have also seen it with the puppy handicapping for the senior dog.
Kaylee did it a lot.
Which was pretty cool. We knew that Kaylee could run circles around and jump over and under and just pummel Cody, but she held back. So watching that develop is really heartwarming when you know that they do recognize one another and their differences.
I think you said something before that's really important when you were describing watching the body language, especially of the older dog, and giving them space. A lot of people think it's my adult dog's responsibility to correct the puppy and teach the puppy that's not okay and put them in their place. Can you talk a little bit more about that lore?
You bet. I think there is an appropriate response from an adult dog to a puppy, which might be a lip curl or a bit of a snark, just some very subtle body language. But if it's something more than that,
they're making solid contact.
That is way too much. We would never advise to just let the dogs work it out. Now, with that said, you do want communication to occur, however, between dog to dog. But the puppy is still developing those social skills.
Puppy doesn't come with a pre-programmed set that, that big lip curl and snarl means I better back off. They don't know that in the beginning. So if we see that from the adult dog, we need to call the puppy over. I'm going to take a break.
Yes.
That's your cue to step back.
I see a lot of adult dogs that almost look cornered and don't get a break, and they have to give bigger and bigger reactions to try to create space from the puppy.
That's right.
Of an outlet to go get some downtime.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you have a cat in the house and you bring a dog in. You need to give the cat room to escape that madness, if you will, to go up or into another room. We need to do the same with the adult dog in the house so that they can take a break.
And I think we have to protect Cody at all costs. When we're walking together with him off leash, if Keaton's running toward Brad and Cody, Brad will body blocks, get in front of Cody. Because if Keaton hit Cody at full force with a shoulder check or a check, it could do some serious damage to his arthritic body.
At Cody's age, if you walk past him fast, he can look at you and fall over. He just doesn't have, he's not as agile as he once was.
No.
But when you have another 50-plus pound dog racing by, it's just best to be standing close by so you can have that.
It was, for us with Cody and Keaton, it was more about, can he be in the same room and not feel like he needs to leave? Can he be in the same room and with training and with management of Keaton, prevent Keaton from pumping Cody? And we still have some food on us, so we're going to reinforce behaviors that each dog is giving us that we like.
So a lot of name recognition with the puppy, and so that if we see things starting to escalate, that we can redirect the puppy, say Keaton's name, call him over to us. We can engage Keaton in that game or whatever that he wants to be playing, as opposed to trying to get that game out of Cody.
And I would say for Rush, the first few months, I always kept Keaton's mat near me, where I just moved the mat around the house with me and would reinforce Keaton for just being on his mat. Yeah. So it was, just chose a place to be versus trying to interact with Cody.
And again, this is a puppy and a geriatric dog. When he's just an adult, and Haley came into our life. So he can still run full speed across the pasture. He had no problem with that. So once Haley got past the little fluff ball stage, started getting size, and we weren't seeing that predatory picture on Cody's face, which we saw once or twice when she was a puppy. When they could be outside and run, when Cody had space to move away, he could run away from Kaylee and get away from that. In the house, couldn't, but outside with space, he could create his own space.
Yeah, that's a very good point that you just made, Brad. It's important to make sure your adult dog always has the ability to move somewhere else. And I think we said that already, but it bears repeat. The older dog needs an out.
Yes.
And if he doesn't got it, then you need to provide the space. You need to make the space.
With your puppy, and part of socialization is also crime, but so is some simple behavior such as simply naming attention so that you can say the puppy's name, have them look back at you and redirect them.
And having recall, like Lisa so brilliantly wrote a book on, being able to call them off of each other while they're still healthy.
Absolutely.
It all starts from that, being able to say the dog's name and ask for their attention. That's where it begins.
And I was thinking about this the other day, about the unrealistic belief that many people have that no matter what situation their dog is in, their dog should immediately look at them when their name is said. Does that happen with Brad and I at a party with a lot of people? I'm really engaged, chatting with my friends. He may have to call me 2 or 3 times to get my attention before I actually see that he wants something. Yeah, I think it helps to think about human relationships and situations and how difficult it is for us at sometimes in certain ways, so that we have empathy for a dog.
And that empathy comes from if you're being stuck in an elevator with somebody who is annoying, how annoying that actually is. And that's our adult dog with a puppy in the house. No, they're stuck in the elevator. They can't get away.
I get spiky too.
Right?
Watching Lisa, you share the beautiful journey of Cody and Keaton's relationship. One of the things that I loved seeing that you shared is the opposite of a mistake I see a lot. So first we talked about getting a second puppy when the first dog's a bit too young and isn't really solidly trained. My adolescent dog's really busy. I need someone to keep them occupied. But when they bring in the second dog, there's a lot less puppy class, puppy socialization, leaving the house with just that puppy because they've got their big brother or sister to play with. They wear them out and they have a dog to play with. And I love seeing Keaton on his own going to classes. You guys are professional dog trainers and you're still going to an external class to have that setting and those distractions. And he's doing like a daycare that's full of enrichment. So he's not only comfortable with his one big brother, that one dog. He's familiar with unfamiliar dogs and settings.
But it's a double benefit because it gives Cody a day off too.
Yes.
The older dog has some time. But you're absolutely right. It takes spending individual time with each dog, not just assuming that they'll take care of one another's needs. They still like us and want us around too. So spending time with each dog individually as well as together is certainly important. We're trainers, but we still take our dogs to the training classes and people think, really? Why are you doing that?
Oh, it's so funny.
I've got friends who are school teachers and they still send their kids off to school. Really?
It's fun for me. I love doing things with my dogs, but it's vital for the dog. Vital for the puppy that he gets experience around other dogs at an early age. It's vital that he learns to focus on me around other dogs and people. It's vital life skills that he's going to learn with me somewhere else. Yes, I can work on those things at home and teach behaviors, but I can't bring people to I could bring house, but I need him to get out and be where I will be with him and start learning to work together.
Yeah, we live in a pretty rural environment. We don't get out much and people don't come to the house. And when we go outside, we don't see people walking up and down the road. So making a point to get the puppy out early and to experience that stuff is certainly important.
We've seen with clients too that their second dog often could be a bit more nervous or less socialized.
I think in general that's true because yes, they do think, as you mentioned earlier, finally I have someone to play with this other or to keep my other dog busy. Yeah. But that individual relationship with each dog is so important. And if you have multiple adults in the household who will be working with the dog, it's important for each person to spend time alone with their dog. Relationships grow because of time spent together that's enjoyable.
Just like ours. Yeah.
Go figure.
Yes. We have a lot of parents who say it's impossible to take them on a walk together. They feed off of each other. They're zigzagging. And not only giving yourself permission, but that it could be a good thing to take a solo walk.
I think it's very important.
Until they can walk by themselves nicely on a loose leash, it's going to be really hard to do it with someone else, another dog present.
I think if you do want to walk two dogs at the same time, you need to train to do that. You need to train the first dog to walk nicely on leash in the area that you plan to have them walk. You need to teach dog two the same thing. And then you start doing that together. But it's the recipe for frustration if you walk two of them at the same time. And again, focus on that individual relationship.
And I think we may have mentioned this before we went live. Who's the walk for? Is it for us to get exercise or for the dog's enrichment? If it's for the dog's enrichment, you probably don't have to go for it. Just let the dog sniff. I had clients that we walk 3 miles in the morning and we do another 3-mile walk every evening and he's still going nuts. I said, take the same amount of time, but just walk a 1/4 mile each time. He wants to do a sniff. I said, fine, it's for the dog. You got your elliptical at home. You can get your exercise whenever you want to, but let those walks be for the dog to just see the world through their nose.
Trying to increase the exercise to wear them out, it becomes endless of adding more and more.
Generally, just I was
We're
going
going
to
to
say,
say the same thing. Creates an athlete.
yeah, you
That
just,
needs more exercise.
you just warm them up. So,
Exactly. They're in excellent condition, but now they've got more stamina.
yep.
So we talked about like a peaceful coexistence between Cody and Keaton. Sounds like the sweet spot and the goal that you were looking for, with him being a bit more like geriatric and Keaton being a puppy. If you had two dogs that are closer in age and closer in stamina and energy level, how would you describe the goal that you're striving for of their relationship?
I think that would have been Cody and Willow. Cody was 5 years old, I think, when Willow came. And by the time she became socially mature, say 2, he was just 7. So that's pretty 2 healthy, strong, working adult dogs.
Yeah.
But when she came, like I said before, he had lots of energy. He could still move away when he wanted to. We do have, in a dog body language presentation that we often give, a video of Cody laying between the couch and the coffee table, and little puppy Willow just all up in its face. And Cody's given all kinds of great body language. That's why we included it. We're sitting there filming, watching this thing about tapping. But we did interrupt it when he did give a big lip curl. But he was in a place where he couldn't get away between the couch and the coffee table. And the puppy was just all up in his face. Again, she was just a 10-week-old puppy, I think, at that time.
So we let that go on for a little while until we saw
That he had enough.
that he had had enough.
Yeah.
And then we interrupted.
And he was in a place where he couldn't get up and walk away. But that said, when she did get a little more size and a little more physically able, they were a great play buddies. They were awesome. They were, like I said earlier, they were an amazing team. When did we decide to leave the house and just leave them in the house by?
Well, we did that. We didn't even have cameras in the house. That was pre-cameras. Let me think back.
I bet it was at least,
I bet it was probably 6 months or
that's
so.
what I was going to guess.
Yeah, it was probably 6 months or so.
And again, that's just us being cautious.
Mhm.
We may have been fine together before then. But I think that was just out of the abundance of caution.
What is your advice to people who their first dog is a bit dog reactive and they're trying to tell if it's appropriate to add a puppy to their household or not?
I think if the dog is already dog reactive, you got some work to do.
Mhm.
That dog before adding another. The dog may accept a new dog into the house, or it may not. Well, that's a gamble. And it's one that I personally wouldn't risk.
Yeah.
Maybe if your current dog, if they do have another dog buddy, or you're thinking about a second dog, maybe do some trial visits to see if your dog may not be reactive to that new dog. But if your dog is already dog reactive, again, reactivity is a broad spectrum. It can be from overexcitement to aggressive displays.
Yeah.
I'd say work with a professional trainer and help the existing dog become more comfortable in the presence of other dogs before deciding to bring another dog into your own home. So that's a big commitment. And you don't want to subject a puppy to a dog that's already dog reactive, because that can set the puppy up for failure.
And for people who might be listening and they tuned into this episode because they've already added the puppy and they're like, ooh, things aren't going as well as we had hoped. Often you'll
We say
hear
that every time a new puppy comes.
Oh, I love it.
What were we thinking?
So does every puppy parent.
Puppies are very hard work.
I always say there's a reason why after a certain age we don't have children. They are a lot of work.
And why they're made so cute, both babies and puppies.
I said that to Keaton the other day. I said, it's a good thing you're so handsome, buddy.
11 months later. Yes. For people who have already introduced, didn't know the steps that you're recommending, they've already introduced this puppy and they're like, my adult dog doesn't like them. Or this isn't work. I thought they were going to be best friends right away and it's not seeming to work. What do you say to clients who come to you at that stage of the game?
First of all, relationships that didn't get up on a good foot or a good paw, you can back up and start anew. Literally start anew with those steps that I shared earlier, overarching theme. We want both dogs to be comfortable and we want to meet their needs. So go back to square one and set up baby gate, do keep dogs on leash, take parallel walks, make good stuff happen in the presence of the other one and do it slowly. And the relationship will probably start to grow and develop.
But oftentimes we'll hear that a month in. I hadn't much time. And there's some people I've met that first time I met them, I don't need to see you much more. We're done. But over time, you start to find that person's qualities and realize, oh, I made a quick judgment there. And you end up being great friends down the road. And it can work with dogs too. Maybe the first meeting didn't go great, or back up to square one, do proper reintroductions, better management. If there was a argument over a chew toy, just make sure there's none of those around.
Yeah, we're not cautious at all anymore with Cody and Keaton because Cody would care less about toys these days. But yeah, for a sufficient amount of time, we're very cautious about any resources, especially if we already know the existing dog in the home could be fussy over resources. If that's true, then we're keeping all resources up. And we still feed our dogs in separate rooms.
But all that being said, I have told clients who tried adding another dog or a younger dog, maybe a puppy, and it simply isn't working out. That, in my opinion, there's no shame in finding that new puppy a different home. Work with it. I'm happy to work with them as much as they want. But if they're not happy, if the puppy's not happy, if the existing dog isn't happy, and there doesn't seem to be a willingness or really clear course forward, then rehoming is, in my opinion, a viable option.
We always need to give the guardian, the pet parent, the opportunity and permission to rehome if that's necessary, because it's a 15-year relationship.
In short, if it's not working, in my estimation, there's no shame in finding the new puppy a better suited home.
Yes.
It's no sense in everybody being miserable just trying to force something to work.
And one of our members just did that. I think the same day that her puppy came home with having a reactive dog already. And she was able to see that this was not working for her reactive dog. And that's the most loving thing.
Idiot, that gave me cold chills of the good kind. That was like, wow, what an astute, amazing puppy parent who understands the needs of her existing dog and the needs of the puppy and is doing what's best for both of them.
And those
what a treat.
Now, a good breeder will take the puppy back. Hopefully, a good breeder will ask the proper questions first to say, what kind of dog do you have at home with what's going on before a new puppy joins? But sometimes the wrong dog ends up in the wrong house, or the right dog in the wrong house, or the wrong house for the right dog, however you want to view it, and it's not a good fit. And
that was such a loving decision for both.
Yes.
For her existing adult dog and for the puppy before being exposed to unhappy interactions during this time-sensitive period.
We have a wonderful trainer friend who's just done the same thing. She returned her puppy to the breeder all the way across the country because it was not working in her house. Better everybody be happy than just try to make something stick that shouldn't.
There is no shame in making a wise decision for all of you, 4-legged and 2-legged, because it's a 10 to 15-year relationship.
Absolutely. And that said, knowing that could be a loving choice, it's not the default. So many of these relationships can be worked out when we're intentional, giving the adult dog the space and giving the puppy the enrichment that they need.
And thank you for doing this podcast, because it gives people the information that they need before making that decision. Maybe they'll go, oh, maybe this isn't the right time. Maybe we need to wait just a little bit.
I do think this needs to be Lisa's next book.
It is, Corinne.
On the list of next.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be the next. Since Willow and Kaylee, now Keaton, you're not the only one that said, you need to write a book on this. You guys have done it so many times. People have said that to us over and over. And I had it on my list before Rocket Recall. But I imagine that while I'm finishing my memoir, which has some really challenging emotional pieces in it, I'm going to need an emotional break from that writing. And maybe I can begin working on the puppy and dog book, which I already have a title for. I think
I don't.
what I did. It was because of that Facebook post where I said the whippersnapper and the sage.
Yes. Oh, that's perfect. There's just not another resource I even have.
That's the title. I bought the URL that day.
Wonderful. I have a question from one of our Doodle Pro Honor Society's members that I think our listeners in general might benefit from your answer on.
Sure.
And I'm just going to read this out loud for you guys. My dog's Charlie, 4-year-old, 55-pound Aussie Doodle, and Mila, a 13-week-old, 9-pound Australian Labradoodle, want to play with each other. Mila plays like a puppy, bites, nips, jumps, and Charlie's very patient with her. She does the play bow and invites Charlie to chase her. He's interested at first, but he's just too big for the type of roughhousing she's asking for. I know everyone keeps saying keep them apart, but they want to be next to each other and cry when I keep them separated with baby gates.
We have lived this.
Yeah. So, first of all, our goal here is to make sure the young puppy isn't injured by the large dog. That's so important. I would say keep that in mind first and foremost. I think taking them together on sniff walk, seriously, I'm going to revert back to sniff walks a lot, that if they can be walking side by side with each other, sniffing, that's going to get both of their energies out. And then perhaps play could ensue without interruption of Charlie being overzealous.
Yes.
13 weeks is still a mighty young puppy. And as much as we would want Charlie and the puppy to get it off right off the bat, they've got a lot of time together still. I would err on the side of more caution early. Lots of sniffy walks, like Lisa said. Maybe some three-way tug so that Mila isn't being drug all over the floor, and supervising that play closely, even maybe being a third party in the play so that we can protect the puppy. But know that in just a few weeks, the puppy's going to have a little bit more size. And again, 13 weeks, it's still a baby and doesn't really need to be playing hard. Giving Charlie some individual high energy play by himself to get some of those yayas out before interacting with the puppy might be a good idea.
It's important at this age for Mila to find a well-run puppy socialization class. That's the kind of interaction that your puppy is going to need so that one day that puppy can play well with Charlie. Now, with that said, what could you do with both of them together without them interacting? I said sniff walk. You teach nose targeting to each one of them. You can sit on the floor cross-legged, have one on each side of you or on their own mat.
Yes.
And just alternate nose targeting with each one. So it becomes a game. And then if you can teach them to nose target your hand, then teach them to nose target an item and place an item in front of each one of them. And as they nose target that item, reinforce them for that. So they're interacting together to get reinforced for things you want them to do, and their Mila is protected.
And again, Mila is still a baby and needs to be protected, looked after. And rest assured that Mila's going to grow quickly and will soon be able to match Charlie's.
Remember that Mila's joints are not fully formed until she's a year old. Mila's, yes.
If she's that small at that age too. So she might stay smaller than 55-pound Aussie Doodle even as an adult.
So my friend thought I was nuts. Now she's a client, but her puppy was 7 months old when Keaton was a puppy, and it was months before I let them play together because the size difference was just too great.
Yeah.
My barometer is like 50% size difference. I might let them play, but anything above that, I'm not going to let even 2 adult dogs play.
Mhm.
It's not the little big kid anyway. The football game is going to get hurt. It's going to be the little guy. Even if it's all fun and games, it's the little one that's going to walk away or not walk away.
And when you're talking about Charlie and Mila, I love how you're saying puppy socialization class. It is healthy for them to have time apart.
Absolutely mandatory for them to have time apart.
Yes.
Brad and I, 38 years we've been married.
We need time apart.
Yes. Yes. Each dog needs to learn to be an individual as well as a pair of dogs together.
And when you have your experience of running puppy classes in your facility and managing these interactions and building these relationships with your own dogs, my guess is that you had more breaks during playtime than people anticipate.
Oh, we never let play go on for longer than 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's if things were going well. Because what happens with any play, puppy and adult dog together or dogs of the same age, play is always arousing. So that arousal is going to build and build and build and build. And it's important to let it build, take a break so it diffuses, let it build again, take a break, it diffuses. So no behavior gets over the top or tips over. Once it tips over, then it's like kids on the playground, you're having a scuffle.
I call it a hockey game without a whistle.
Yeah.
If you've ever watched ice hockey, if the play goes on too long without the ref blowing a whistle and stopping play for a minute, there's going to be a fight. So if the play goes on too long, if the dogs aren't mature enough to understand how to take those self-regulating breaks, then it's up to us to step in and interrupt the play for a minute and then let them go back to playing again.
And what happens is the adult dog may have those self-regulation skills with another adult dog, but the puppy does not have those skills
And if
yet.
the puppy doesn't back off, the adult's got no choice but to engage.
And for those of us who have had human kids where a toddler missed a nap, they don't lay down and be like, I'm sleepy, I'm going to put myself down. No, their choices become poorer, their impulse control is weaker, and you're more likely to get bigger feelings, more upset, and puppies do need more sleep than we usually estimate.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Lisa, I'm going to be keeping my eye out for your book for the next ones.
I've committed it publicly now, so I guess I have to do it. I said it in another live chat a couple of days ago.
Well, that'll give us our time apart because she'll be in her studio writing and I'll be able to do stuff.
I think interview will be there to hold people over until then.